Previously we showed you how to create and set up a virtual machine with Windows 11. Today we will install and run a Power BI report server from a virtual machine. You can install and run BI report server from PC, but we recommend to run it from a virtual machine. In addition, we will show you how to connect your server to the internet and access your report server using your public IP address. We will also show you how to embed report to another web page. SQL Server is essential to run Power BI report server. We will download SQL Server Express from Microsoft website and install it on our virtual machine. When the setup is downloaded, just run the setup to install SQL Server. We will install SQL Server with default settings. Wait for the SQL Server to be installed on your machine. Once the server is installed, you can go ahead and install SQL Server Management Studio, which is recommended. At the completion, SQL Server Setup gives you the option to install SQL Server Management Studio. Click on the Install SSMS button. It will take you to the Microsoft website, from where you can download the SSMS setup. Click on the download link, and download the SQL Server Management Studio. Once downloaded, run the setup file to install SQL Server Management Studio. Press the Install button to install the SQL Server Management Studio. Although you can run Power BI report server without having SSMS installed, but it is recommended to install it also. You may need it at some point in future. You can download Power BI report server from Microsoft website. Search for Power BI report server download, which will take you to the download page. On download page, click on the download button. Check both Power BI report server and Power BI desktop for report server. Press Next to start downloading these setups. Wait for the setups to download. When downloaded, click on the report server setup to start installation process. Click on the Install button. Then choose the edition you want to install. Press Next. Accept the terms and press Next. Select the install location, and press Install. Allow the application to make changes to your device. Now wait for the setup to complete installation. Now you can set up your Power BI report server in the configuration manager. Report Server Configuration Manager is used to set up Power BI Report Server. You need to connect to a report server in Report Server Connection window. Go to the Service Account window, and select Account. We will use the default settings. In the Web Service URL window, set virtual directory, IP address, and port number, and press Apply. We will use the default settings for now. Once the virtual directory is created and assigned, go to the Database window. Click on the Change Database button, and create a new database. Enter the server name, which you can find out from SQL Server Management Studio. We will turn on the SQL Server Management Studio, and copy the name of SQL Server from there. Now we will paste this server name in the Report Server Configuration Manager. You can use the Test Connection button to see if everything is working. This will create a database, which we can view in SQL Server Management Studio. As you can see, there is no database in our SQL Server right now. However, as soon as we click the next button, the Report Server Configuration Manager will create two databases in our SQL Server, which will be used by the Power BI Report Server. Now we will open the SQL Server Management Studio again, and see if the databases have been created or not. As you can see, the Report Server databases are now ready in the SQL Server. Now we will set up the web portal URL which will be used to access the Power BI reports. We will use the default settings for now. Our report server is now ready, and we can use the web portal URL to access the server. We will refresh our browser few times till we see the portal. This is how report server looks like when it starts for the first time. In the next chapter we will upload a Power BI report. Now we will upload our first Power BI file to our report server. We have already placed a file in the shared folder, which we will copy to the desktop. We will use the Upload button on Web Portal to upload files to the report server. Let's open the file and view it in Report Server. Great, we have successfully set up a report server and uploaded our first dashboard as well, which is working. If the report server is shut down, you can go to the installation folder, in Program Files, and again start it using Report Server Configuration Manager, located in the Shared Tools directory. Press Connect on the Configuration Manager, to connect to the server. Press the Start button to start the server again. In the virtual directory name, press spacebar, and then backspace. This will enable the Apply button, without changing the directory name. Now press the Apply button, to start the server. And now the server is running again. Now you can view your files in Web Portal again. Now that you have successfully set up your report server, you can make further changes, to make it accessible from local network, and even the Internet. We want our virtual machine to become a separate computer, not part of our physical computer. On the host computer, IP address is starting with 192.168. While on the guest computer, it is starting with 10.0. Which means, the guest computer is not independent. In simple words, our current network structure is like the left, where guest is a sub-network of the host, while we need it to be independent like described on the right. To do that, we need to convert the virtual machine network type from NAT to bridged, with permissions set to allowed. Now the IP address of guest computer should also start with 192.168, and host computer should be able to ping that IP address just like any other computer in the network. Let's ping the guest IP address, to check if the guest IP address is reachable. To make our report server accessible from outside, we need to allow it to use the IP address. We will open the Report Server Configuration Manager, to add the IP address, to the web portal URL. The All Assigned setting already covers the current IP address, which means you can currently access Report Server using the IP address without changing anything, but we will still do it just to show you how IP address is added in the URL. The new URL will include the IP address, instead of computer name. Let the report server make the necessary changes. We will do the same to the web portal URL. We can now use the IP address to access the web portal. Report server is probably still implementing changes. Refresh the browser for few times, till the report server is visible. Now that we have configured the virtual machine, and the report server, to use the IP address, we can access the report server from any device connected to the local network. Let's try to open the report server on the host computer. The report server is working fine over the network. We need to give permissions to the users. Use the Manage folder to give permission, to view the current folder. You can choose a permission from the list of roles. Let's refresh the browser on host computer, and see what happens. The permission error is gone, but report is still not visible. We need to assign permission for report as well, using the Manage button in the report. Let's refresh the browser on host computer, and see if we can view the report or not. And there it is, we can now view and edit the report, as per our permissions. Now this server is available to everyone on the local network, and they can use it with the permissions granted to them as shown earlier. Let's access our report server from our mobile phone, which is connected to the same local area network. And as you can see, our report server is accessible from mobile phone as well. Let's open and view a file in the mobile phone. Everything is working the same way it does on a computer. Now that we have successfully accessed our report server from local area network, let's access the server from internet. That means, we should be able to access the server, from anywhere in the world over the internet. To do that, we need to know our public IP address. We can find out that from a third-party website. Now we will use this IP address, instead of our local IP address, to access the report server. Enter this IP address in the browser, and add the remaining URL to access the report server. As you can see, we are unable to connect to our report server, from the internet. That is because the internet is not allowed, to access our server yet. In the next chapter, we will allow the internet to access our server, using port forwarding. We will use our router, to forward port 80, which is being used by the report server, to allow our public IP to connect to our report server. We will go to the Advanced Settings, and look for Port Forwarding or Mapping tab. Here, we can add new mapping, where we can forward port 80, using the IP address of our virtual machine. First we will add the mapping name. Then we will select the virtual machine to add its IP address. Did you notice that this is the same IP address we used to access our report server over local area network? By using port forwarding, we are telling the router to route all traffic from our public IP address to this local IP address. We will add a port which we want to forward. We want to forward port 80, which we will enter in the internal and external port number fields. We will select both TCP and UDP protocols. After reviewing all the settings, we will click on the Apply button to apply the settings. Now we can use our public IP address to access our report server from anywhere in the world over the Internet. And there you go. We have successfully accessed our report server from Internet, using the public IP address. Since our report server is accessible from the Internet, we can also embed our reports in web pages, and place them in websites. Let's create a new web page, and try to embed our report in this page. Let's open the web page in a text editor, and enter some HTML code. Let's add heading and paragraph to our web page. Let's add an iframe to embed our Power BI report. In the URL, we will add the URL of our report, hosted at the report server. We will also add a report server parameter, with embed, set to true. Our web page, with embedded report, is now ready. Let's view it in browser. The size of our iframe is too small. Let's make it bigger. We will use style tag to set the width to 100% and height to 1000 px. Let's refresh our browser and view the embedded report now. This is great. Our report is now available over the internet. Remember, Power BI reports require authentication. Thanks for watching. We hope you liked our tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials and updates.